aeroponic gardening is kind of what I'm here to talk about with you guys today. I have a certain system that you will see, like I've tried to use a lot of my own photos, and but there are all types of systems out there, smaller ones that can fit on your counter to large ones that people are using in farms. So but you'll mostly see what mine is, and but they all are very similar. So if you do want to go and look at the different types of systems, you can kind of see what makes them a little bit different, but they're all they're pretty much the same concept. So okay, wait, let's see, how do I. So I just wanted to open the floor and ask anybody if they do grow their own food or if they are gardening currently.
I might step in here for real quick. I am currently growing orange trees and mango, basil, rosemary. I'm starting another orange tree, and I started them from seed, and it was started as an experiment. So they're in a box garden in my house because I want to keep them away from the hot sun and the bugs. Mm-hmm. So, but I've always been fascinated with the tower garden because I'm interested in doing greens for salads.
I have gardened in the past, but ever since I moved to like the city, Chicago, I couldn't really figure out a good way to like grow it the way it looks like you have here.
And so what is the difference between aeroponic and hydroponic?
Yeah, I will get into that. I can move on to the next slide. That's a really good question. Aeroponic is more, they say it's like a more advanced version of hydroponics. So instead of so with the aeroponic, the water and the mist is on the clean roots, and the nutrients is going straight to the roots.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I've like partaken in some container gardening the past 2 years, but this year I haven't really started anything yet, especially since it's still been cold, but planning on moving here within the next couple of months. So figured probably gardening wasn't the best idea with the plan of moving. So
Yep, I can definitely empathize with that. I also wanted to ask, before I got into the details of this type of gardening, is what you all believe the health benefits of gardening are.
well, by doing your own gardening, you pretty much like know what's going into your food, because like the stuff that you buy from the stores, unless if you buy everything organic, you kind of don't know like what like chemicals are being put on it, what's going into the growing process. But if you grow your own food, you know everything that's being put on, like what you're using to grow it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it would make me eat more vegetables because they would be there, and I would just see it and eat it.
Is gardening kind of like meditation? It's good for the mind as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree with all of those. It helps you eat more fruits and vegetables because it's out of sight, out of mind. So it's right in your face. You're seeing it. You're putting that love into it, and you get to eat it yourself. And there's pride that goes along with that as well. And there is evidence that having green space in your environment is also very good for your mental health. Does anybody like here know anything about aeroponic gardening, or anybody has any type of aeroponic garden?
No.
Like we had discussed aeroponic gardening in one of my classes I took, like I'd say about a year to a year and a half ago now. And I remember discussing it, but I don't remember any details. So
was that like a zoo animal feed? raising food for zoo animals?
I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I think that that's probably something that they definitely could do. I don't know any
All right,
of any companies that do it, but I just because I haven't looked into it. So, but all right, I will
that,
just.
that was more of a question for Rachel because she's got a zoo background.
Sorry,
Oh,
so were you asking like if that the class I took was in regards to
There,
that?
yes.
Oh, no, like it was for my nutrition major. So I think it
Oh.
was something more like agricultural based, but yeah, so yeah, nothing zoo based, but that would be interesting though. I'll have to look into that.
All right.
I also, I had already had a tower garden when in one of my classes that we had an assignment that was a TED Talk for a man that I'm going to introduce in my presentation as well. So that might be where you heard about it. And he went to ASU as well. So here's just like a brief description. It's advanced form of hydroponics. Aeroponics is the process of growing plants in an air or mist environment rather than soil. Aeroponic systems use water, liquid nutrients, and a soilless growing medium to quickly and efficiently grow more colorful, tastier, better smelling, and incredibly nutritious produce. So I set up, this is where mine lives. It's in our dining room area. And I wanted to show you the growing medium. So this system uses rock wool. Now, other systems may use something else. There's a cocoa core that True Garden in Mesa, they use rock wool and this cocoa core, which they believe is like a more organic medium. And so you start your seeds in here, and you start your seedlings, and then when they start popping up, then you place them in the sections of the tower. And then for this one, there's two mineral blends that you put a combination in the water at the base of the tower garden, and that gives your plants the nutrients it needs. So then there's also a pH system, because some plants do better at plants grow at a optimum pH, and you can also alter your pH depending on if you're growing certain types of fruits and vegetables. So it also comes with a pH kit and some like testing that you have to do. So after this like quick review of what aeroponic gardening is, can you guys, does anybody have any idea of what the advantages of this type of gardening would be?
Well, it's mobile. We know that.
You can do it inside and versus outside, so you can have it year round. And another thing, like if you are living in an area that doesn't have a lot of like soil, so you can't plant it in the ground outside, or you live in an apartment, you can have a little aeroponic garden still.
Without using the soil, you don't have to worry about like soil degradation as much, or like the soil quality going down as like you use the area more frequently.
Mhm.
Seems like it doesn't use too much water. Is it?
Yeah, those are all exactly right. Here's my little facts. You guys have hit on a lot of them already, that it's sustainable and convenient. These systems use as little as 2% of the water that you would use for traditional gardening. It uses less land because you're growing vertically rather than horizontally. 100% of the nutrients get used because they continue to be recycled through the tower. And for the, no, you don't need to use pesticides, herbicides, because you're growing indoors. So no soil contamination. So even if your produce is organic, this is kind of a step above organic. So here's just some other facts. There's so many positives that I believe to this type of gardening. So I just kind of listed them all here. And then before I move on to the next slide, what do you guys think the cons of this type of gardening would be?
I would say a con would be probably maybe like some of the price, like starting off, it's like a little bit expensive. And maybe if like we ever had a really bad drought, and I mean, it uses minimal water, but in certain times, the littlest bit of water could be used for surviving, like drinking. I'm thinking maybe some space too, like, and variation of what you can grow. So it looks like on one system, you can only grow like one kind of like thing, like in the same family. You don't want to like mix things that can't be grown together. So you need to get another tower or, stuff like that.
Yeah, those are some very good points. I do notice that, yeah, I have all lettuces here, and that picture is all strawberries, but you can mix the types of fruit or vegetables and fruits that you put on there. You can't
I meant like different things that aren't supposed, like, like that close together. Like same thing, like outside, like there's certain things that you don't plant beside one another. And this would be the same thing with this, even though
like crossbreeding or
yeah, like if you don't like, yeah, you don't want like, I mean, like just because it's also very compact. So if like some people, like, I guess he knows so much more about gardening than I do, but my godmom, she always told me that she keeps like her strawberries like away from like peppers, and like all the peppers are just completely away from everything else, because just she says that they can like crossbreed and like just make your other stuff like taste funny.
right. For this one, since the roots come down in their own like pocket, I guess you could say, you don't have to worry about crossbreeding with these. So
like, I could do like berries and lettuces on the same thing. Like I would just buy one as a beginner and have like try out like 2 or 3 different things and not have to worry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So for mine, I have lettuce and herbs, and because I also have one that I have outside, and and with Arizona being so windy and rough, and I'm just not used to the outdoors here yet, since we're new. I put my hardier vegetables outside. So I've got like broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, kale, and stuff outside. And then in here, I did more of my lighter, like leafy greens. But in Washington, when I first got my tower, I had tomatoes, peppers, sugar snap peas, and then, a little variety of lettuce. So you can kind of design it however you'd like. And most of the systems that you buy, they will give you guides on how, like, you should only have maybe 2 like really heavy vining vegetables on your tower, because those take a lot of nutrients and a lot of water. So as you explore and learn more about like what you want on your tower and what you want to grow, you kind of learn what you can put on there. So, oops. Yep,
Erin,
so
are those pictures of your own particular towers?
the strawberry one is not, but the one on the right is mine.
It's beautiful.
I would love to have a strawberry garden, so that's kind of hope in the future.
I was hoping that was yours so you could like tell us like how you did that.
you know, if you just stay in contact with me, I will be happy to give you updates because that is a goal in my near future. So I've been waiting for the strawberry seeds to be, the seedlings to be available. So that's another thing with the, you don't have to start your own seeds. If you want this to be something, if you want to skip that step because you just want it to be as convenient as possible, you can order, there's several companies that start seedlings. You can pick from a variety of what they have. The company that I love to get mine from are in San Diego, and their strawberry seedlings will be ready this month. So that's kind of like what I've been waiting for. So, and I'd be happy to share any resources that I have with anybody about that.
Please, please, I am highly interested.
So, you know, like Danny said, the startup costs can be a con because they, you know, from the small ones that can go on your countertop to the larger systems, you're spending $150 to $1,200. Maintenance, some people, the maintenance can be a lot because you take the about twice a year, you want to harvest everything and take it apart, give it a really good sanitize cleaning, and just make sure you're still getting that fresh, clean, organic produce that you're wanting. Vulnerable to power outages. This is reliant on your electricity. So one time we were on a vacation and we didn't know that our power had gone out and our tower did not turn back on, and we came home to everything being dead. Now, with that said, about 3/4 of it survived because we turned it back on, we fed it, and vegetables are amazing, and they did survive, but we did lose some of it, and I was devastated when we got home. But you do have to pay attention to the pH levels. If you're noticing some discoloration in your plants, wiltiness or anything like that, you can check the pH level. So that's a little bit more of the maintenance. And then you can't grow root vegetables. I've seen people try to do like carrots and certain things, but I have not seen it be successful yet. So
Isn't that like better is just like put it in a pot? That's like the next spot. It's like can't grow them in the arrow thing, put them in a pot, right?
yeah.
Like potato and stuff.
Yeah. So like I have my big pots of carrots and potatoes that we do too. So I like to do both types of gardening, but this is my main source of what we're getting in our family.
You're turning me on to it. You're selling me on it. I'm already looking at like a little thing. I'm like, ooh, that could fit right in here.
Yeah, I meant to look up the measurements and I forgot. I think it's like a 2 by 2 by 4 foot or 4 by 2 by 2 area. It's not very large. You just find a corner, and then I've seen a couple other ones that are different systems that are shaped differently. If that works better for the space that you're looking for. This company also makes ones that if you have a balcony and you'd rather do an outdoor, but you're in an apartment, you have a balcony, you can put one on your balcony and it doesn't come with the lights. So
how many people do you feed with the growth on one tower? In other words, yeah, if you have a family of 5, would one tower do it?
It depends on how much you guys eat and what you're eating. So if you're growing a broccoli, that takes a lot longer to grow. So we've done that, and we will eat the leaves around it and add that to our greens and whatever we're cooking. But it takes twice as long as the lettuce to grow. So, and the lettuce you can continue to, you just pick it off fresh. You don't have to take the whole head off. You just take the outside leaves. So to get to your question. So I'm still purchasing fruits and vegetables, you know, apples, oranges. I have a family of 5, but I never have to purchase greens. I never have to purchase fresh herbs because I do them at the top. And then I don't know if you can see, but I've got some drying and I just use, that's some parsley that I have drying at the top of my tower.
I was actually going to comment on that because those are the 2 main things I find that get that nasty, like wet look in the bag when you get them from the store, is the greens and the herbs. And they go bad really fast too.
Yeah.
Like, especially like organic, like unfortunately without all that stuff, it goes bad a little bit faster. But I mean, when it's right there, able to pick like off in your, you don't waste money on buying like some herbs, and when you get home like the next like 12 hours later you're like,
Yeah.
he's already got that nasty stuff in the bag. So.
Yeah, you're taking just what you need off of it. So you're reducing a lot of waste. So you're saving money that way. But I haven't quite done the math on, you know, how much
I bet for me it would be like because like I have to throw out so many green onions, like herbs and like lettuce and stuff that sometimes I'm just like, I'm not getting this unless I know for sure that we're going to be eating this within the next 2 days.
Yes, yeah. And it's also fun when you do have those, like the green onions and stuff. You can, I've taken green onions, I've taken celery, and I've stuck it in here without starting a seedling, and I've put it in the tower, and I've grown another batch of green onions. Or the lettuce heads that come from Costco, they're like butter, I think they're butter lettuce, and they still have the roots. I've grown 2 or 3 more lettuce heads from buying one package from Costco. And so you can experiment and you just have a good time with it too. So for me and my family, this has been really fun. My kids, my daughter, she eats greens. She will come up to the tower and just, you know, have her snack. And when all the sugar snap peas are gone, she gets very grumpy. And my son, who would never touch anything green before we started the tower garden, will now eat, you know, his salad of, you know, dark, nutritious leafy greens. So that's been, you know, really fun for us. And the harvests are huge every time. You just, you know, I'll cut a huge basket of greens off of it for our dinner that night, and it's still just full and, you know, going. So I also wanted to talk about the Green Bronx machine. Stephen Ritz is, he's an ASU alumni, but he lives in the Bronx, New York, and he saw that in his community that his students were not doing well, they were not healthy. And so he started teaching them how to farm and grow food through vertical farming. And he also, you know, he discovered he uses the tower gardens in his classrooms, and him and his organization is just amazing. And I really encourage you to, you know, if this is interesting to you, to look at what he's done and how he uses the tower garden in his community outreach.
Erin, I have a quick question. On the slide prior to this one, you said that it doesn't have the same health benefits as it would if it was grown in soil.
Oh,
So what do you mean by that?
yes. Thank you so much for asking that, because I knew that I wanted to clarify that when I wrote it down. I know that you do get benefits from touching soil and working with soil as part of gardening. And so I wrote that down as a con, because you're not getting that as part of, it's not affecting the nutrients of the food, but just the mental and physical health of gardening with touching soil is what I meant there.
So I can see on the Green Bronx machine how what the light source is. For like your machines, what is the light source?
So mine is the same. I just pushed them back behind the tower because the light was, I was trying to show you guys the tower, but the light was reflecting too much on the camera. So it's, if you see the picture of my, two of my kids there, the lights are the same. So you just can't see them behind me.
Okay.
And then I've seen other systems where it's very similar. The lights are just attached to the bottom of the tower in a different type of system, and another one where there's rings of lights in between each level of plants. So
When you have it outside, do you still have the lights on?
no. And the outside version, it has a larger base, so it's a little bit heavier, and it can you don't have to change the water as much depending on what vegetables you're growing.
So did the light towers, if you will, do they rotate or something so that it gets even lighting everywhere? No.
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's 4 of them, so it hits all of the plants. I realized when I did this tower that I had the lights too low, and all my herbs and all my plants were like pointing down, and I couldn't figure out why. And I realized that I needed to rise the lights up, and in 2 days I had my herbs sitting up again. So you can mess with it with what you're growing, and there is a timer on it. So you set it for how long you want it on and off. So mine turns on automatically at 8 a.m. and turns off at 8 p.m. And the water is set for that. It says that my tower is indoors. I did unplug it for this because it sounds like a water fountain trickling, and it probably would have turned on during this. So I did unplug it for that.
Cool.
This is just a little information about the True Garden in Mesa. They do a whole warehouse farm of these towers, and I think we are trying to get a hold of them and see if we can learn more about their company as well. But it's the same system as what I use.
So where do you buy the system, and where do you buy the supplies?
So for mine, it's the Tower Garden with Juice Plus. So you can look up and you order them online. True Garden also has a store, like they're like a franchise of where they sell the Tower Garden, and they can get you all the parts and everything that you need, or but for the other systems that I've seen, I've only seen that you can order them online. There's one called Garden, but spelled with a Y instead of an E. And if you just type in aeroponic gardening systems, you can kind of look at all the different types that they have.
And so what is yours?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, what is yours called?
Mine is the Tower Garden by Juice Plus.
Okay.
So we can order from you though, Erin, right?
Yeah.
You have a website? Well, we'll talk about the in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to, if I wanted to keep it neutral, if anybody, but I'm more than happy to help anybody through the process if this is something that they are interested in. I put my email address there. And some more pictures of my kids eating greens, because as a mom, that happening in my house and my family is just something that, yeah, I feel really good about. does anyone have like any more questions about it? I can take you guys outside if you don't mind a little road trip on the computer or
Road trip.
Fresh air.
Okay. So I'll just mute my computer so nobody throws up, and then I will turn it back, or my camera, and then I will turn it back on when I get out there.
I've been down to True Garden in Mesa, and they do teach classes. You can take a beginner's class, you can take an advanced class. I think it's like $25 a class, and they're usually on Saturday. So for those who live in Phoenix or in Arizona, you can travel there and sign up and register. But I would certainly if I'm just suggesting we would support Erin and purchase them through her.
Okay, so this is one of my outdoor gardens. I've got a ton of kale. There's broccoli, red cabbage. This is celery at the top. They do sell these cages so if you're doing any vining vegetables, I haven't started my tomatoes yet. It's so windy here. And then I have this one which I'm saving for the strawberries. And then I have another one here that our water ran out. So I lost a lot of plants off of this one, but I do have some Swiss chard, kale, spinach.
What's the time frame for some of those vegetables? Like how long does some of them take to grow?
I'm gonna go back inside because it's crazy. So for the broccoli, like I was
I'm sorry, Erin, before you go inside, can you show us the tank? Like the tank where it holds the water?
Yeah, I can show you the one inside. So,
Okay, good.
yeah.
Okay.
And I can pull out a plant too, so you guys can see how cool the roots are. So the broccoli, the cabbages, cauliflowers, those take like 6 to 8 weeks to really get growing and able to, if you want to, start picking off the edge leaves. Tower Garden has a really good, they have so many resources and education. So any vegetable that you want to grow, it'll give you the timeline. It'll tell you how difficult it is to grow it and, the best way to do it. So, sorry. I kind of wanted to show you guys actually. I'm having a little overabundance right now, which is a good thing. So there's been times where we've wanted to rearrange our tower. And so we've just taken it out, and these are the roots that you pull out with them. These are just smaller salad greens, so they're not very long, but some of them are just, will go all the way down to the bottom of the tower. And then you just put them back in. So bear with me. I have a cat, so I have this my animals love the Tower Garden too. The cats and my dog loves lettuce, so they get to have an advantage.
I was gonna ask, how do you keep cats away from garden? Because we have a little one at home and she just loves it.
Yes. So at first they were hopping onto the base and just eating everything that they wanted. And I would find the square rock wool across the room, and they chewed on the, so I had to come up, I had to do something. So I got this, let's see, oh, sorry. I got this thing here from online, is pretty cheap, and it just sits around it, and it, I don't know, I think some cats are more ambitious than mine, but this has deterred them from it. Let me get it. I had it turned around because I was eating too much off of one side. So I'm going to turn it around so I can get to the base or the tank. This lights out of the way. Another advantage to when I was comparing the different systems is that these, if your pump goes out, if something goes wrong, the replacement parts are not overly pricey. So I can replace the pump for I think 40-50 bucks. So that was an advantage to me, because this I'm hoping will last years and years and years for us. So here is, oops, sorry, the tank. I don't know if you guys can see in there, but there's a pump. We just trimmed the roots, so there's not many. I'm sorry, I don't know what you guys can see, but there is, I can still grab some of the roots. And you just pour it in there. It's very simple. And then the water travels up the tower and trickles down on the roots inside.
So I'm wondering why you devote a whole tower to strawberries, as opposed to different berries or something.
Well, one, because my kids, I will come home with a large container of strawberries and it'll be gone that day.
Right.
We do love strawberries, and that's a good question. I just wanted a whole strawberry tower because we love strawberries.
Okay.
It's just personal.
I get it.
No.
So looking at that picture of the strawberry tower, it looked like there was strawberries at different stages of ripeness.
Mhm.
Is that planted by design?
I think that's just how they grow, because they are planted at the same time. So the seeds are all put in there at the same time and germinated and sprouted at the same time. So I think that's just how it works out.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't have a more technical. I mean, this is definitely for somebody who, if they don't know much about gardening in the first place, they can still have really good.
I just remember years ago I had a garden, and well, among other things, a vegetable garden, but green beans were just, they were like nothing, and then bam, I got tons of them.
Mhm.
And you're eating green beans every night.
Right.
And they're they're getting oversized, and anyway, I'm just wondering if there's a strategy here to make them ripe at different stages so that you're always
Mhm.
you got a regular supply.
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of these plants, they will last about 4 to 6 months. So you can stagger. You don't have to plant the whole tower at once. You could stagger when you put them into the tower. So if you're planting your seedlings, or if you're ordering them from a different company, you just order them when you want. You could do 4 plants a month and then put them in, every month and stagger it. It's completely up to you. It's completely how you want to do it.
Okay. And I assume a plus that we didn't really talk about was that it's multi-seasonal, I guess. There's no, like, you can't grow in the winter season. You can
Right.
probably grow all the time.
Yep, this has been up here year round, and in Washington, Washington was a wonderful place to have an outdoor garden, but only for a few months. So we had this year round as well. My outdoor tower gardens are new, so I have not become a pro at handling the seasons with that. So with summer coming up and the heat, I've done some research, and some people do use their tower gardens through the summer, but they put bottles of ice, frozen bottles of water in the tanks to keep the water cold enough for the vegetables. So I don't know if I'm going to try that, or if I'm just going to let them, be dormant for a few months and then start it back up once the temperatures go down. I'm still experimenting with that. So.
Do the tower gardens come on wheels where you can move it?
Yep. So the indoor one comes on wheels. So you can move it very easily, turn it around to get to the back, because I keep mine in the corner. So I do have to rotate it, and for things I want that are in the corner. The outdoor one with the bigger base they have a tray with wheels that you purchase separately if you want it. The outdoor ones do not come with wheels.
So what would be an average price to manage monthly? If you spread it out over a month, what would be an average price to maintain one tall tower? Or is that something you'd rather discuss privately with each of us?
Apart from the initial investment, or just after?
Once you purchase everything and you have it all set up, what would be an average price that you would pay monthly to maintain it?
So once you have set up because you've already purchased the nutrients and everything, it doesn't, other than your electricity bill and whatever water you use, which we did not have a spike in our electricity, so it does not use an over amount. These big nutrients will last you like 6 months to a year. They're about $40. So it's kind of like the initial investment's high, but then as you maintain it and keep it going, it's really what you decide to spend on the seeds and continuing to put those nutrients in there.
So over the months, it actually pays for itself. When you grocery shopping, my dogs, I make my own dog food, so I'm constantly making their salads, which goes in their food, their meat.
Oh yeah.
And they're really healthy. And that's why I'm interested in this as well, because buying your own greens and stuff like at Sprouts or Whole Foods, or even the most like Fry's and Albertsons in Arizona, they really don't have a whole huge organic section. You have to kind of pick and choose. And then if you go to Whole Foods or Sprouts, you might be paying a little bit higher. So this is really economical if you think about it.
Yeah, definitely. If you have something like that where you're making, food for your dogs every day, and it just and the lettuce is very economical because it just grows and grows and grows and grows. So
I have a question, Erin. Have you grown microgreens?
yes.
You have?
Yes, but I have not found a system to keep them growing very well. But now that I've harvested the herbs in something I should have shown you guys as well is that there's 4 pockets on each row, but then on the top they have 8, and they're closer together, and those are more for herbs and microgreens and baby greens that you want to grow. And so I'm going to try to figure out how to keep the microgreens growing instead of they grow and I harvest them and then they're done, like most microgreen systems are. But I haven't figured that out yet. but you can grow them. It's not like the lettuce and the kales where it just keeps growing and you keep, cutting off of it.
So Erin, you mentioned that you can't grow root vegetables, and you're talking about what, potatoes and carrots, right?
Yeah.
But pretty much you can grow anything else?
Mhm.
Have you had any problems with the larger vegetables like cabbage and broccoli and cauliflower where they get too big and then fall off the tower?
I have not. I did have a broccoli and a cauliflower in Washington. The problem I had was the leaves were so big that they were getting in the way of the other plants. So I just started to eat them and just pick up the big ones on the outside, and didn't seem to affect the growth of the plant at all. So, but I've never seen them get too heavy. The vine vegetables like zucchini, the heavier tomatoes, they need more support. So that cage that I have on the outside, some people make their own for indoors as well. And then they also just put them on the bottom so that they can kind of like just fall and grow on the ground. Does
So
anybody-
yeah, I have a question. What fruits have you grown that you've been successful at besides strawberries?
I don't think I've grown a fruit yet besides strawberries. I'm trying to.
But it's possible. So can you grow blueberries and raspberries and whatever?
That's a very good question because with the blueberries and raspberries being a bush.
I was curious about
No,
it, Tim,
yeah.
and I looked it up because I was very curious about the fruit, and very, very brief research that came up here. There are some specific fruits, but most of the fruits grow hydroponically, not necessarily aeroponic, because the weight and the types of fruits there. But I was looking in here, it's mostly hydroponics that they grow. Let's see.
Yeah, I'll have to look more into. I know people do edible flowers, or any type of flowers. I mean, some people have gardens where they just only plant flowers. But yeah, I think strawberries are the only ones I've attempted or looked at. So cucumbers are a really good one.
Cool. Well, do you need to be a green thumb?
Oh, tomatoes, you can grow tomatoes there.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
much all your salads, all your salad fixings.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wonderful. And what about watermelon?
Yes, yes, watermelon can be done.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And pumpkin?
Yep, all the squash vegetables and cantaloupe, watermelon.
So does,
There you go.
that,
There's a group of fruit that.
so would that be more at the bottom of the tower and it would actually grow out on your carpet? Because you know how the vines spread?
Yeah, you would have to do some more planning for that situation because they, you could put a box down next to it and just,
Oh, okay.
there's lots of ways that people get creative with that. And it is, yeah, you definitely have to do those ones on the bottom. Unless you have some sort of shelving system. I mean, you could do something cool with that, but.
Oh my gosh, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, now you're getting me thinking like build some corner shelves and just have your pumpkins and your.
No, I was just thinking of homemade pumpkin pie. I don't know if anybody's ever had homemade pumpkin pie. That is so good.
So I pretty much have a black thumb. So I'm wondering if it requires skill to keep the plants ground.
Not really. That is, something I hear a lot. My sister-in-law said, I kill everything. I'm never, she hated even the idea of getting a tower or growing anything herself because she's killed everything. And she ended up getting one and she loves it. So she's the one that gave me the idea of the Costco lettuce to put it in there. So it's really expanded her, mindset on what she can do with it. And she's gotten creative with it as well. So it's really pretty straightforward. You might run into some issues if you're not paying attention to like the pH level, or if you forget and the water runs out, but the plants are also very resilient. So even if you do mess up, which I've, messed up several times, they come back and you're not losing a lot of your investment from it.
So how much time do you have to devote daily or weekly, for that matter, to managing the tower?
I mean, you can leave it for a week and not even look at it, and it would just continue to grow. If you have it on the settings and it's full of water and nutrients, then it's fine. But suggested would be to, check it every week, look at the water levels, and do a pH test on the water. Just make sure that, nothing has changed with that. And then, some of the vegetables will do better if you harvest them more. So if you, continue to like harvest around the lettuce heads, then you'll just keep getting like bigger and, fresher leaves, and instead of the outside ones getting more like wilty or, not because they haven't been eaten yet. But other than that, it's as much or as little as you want to do.
So how does nutrient density compare on
I was just gonna ask that.
the produce that grows on the tower versus what you would buy in the store or grows in soil?
Yeah. They are more nutrient dense because the nutrients are going straight into the roots and not competing with anything else in the soil, or and you can put too many nutrients in the water, so you want to make sure you're not overdoing it. But that's this was designed by NASA scientists for them to grow in space, so they have put it down to a science of how much you use. And so more nutrient
All right.
density, the answer.
All right, well, that's good.
Yeah. And you
Erin,
can,
this was wonderful. We really appreciate you being here. So anybody who wants to get in touch with you, just get in touch with you through your email.
yeah,